Apartment 7A is out on Paramount Plus, new horror film starring Julia Garner and Diane Wiest. Prequel to the classic Roman Polanski film Rosemary's Baby. 1960s New York, Terry is a young dancer on Broadway, ambitious, talented, bright future ahead of her until one day she twists her ankle and is essentially out of a job. She tries to get back but can't succeed at any audition. The injury is still acting up. Her bills are overdue. She almost has no place to stay until she gets taken in by a lovely, nice elderly couple and offered to stay first at their guest room, then a separate apartment on the same floor of the building which they live in because they also own the other apartment. But things begin to get sinister around Terry. And of course, if you've seen Rosemary's Baby, you will know why. You will know that the old couple, being the Castevets, leads into some satanic shenanigans. So I'm very disappointed to say that this is essentially just a repeat of Rosemary's Baby. The plot is almost exactly the same, with the only difference being basically the protagonist's life circumstances. And I think when all's said and done, these differences work even more in favor of the original film. The fact that Terry is single and almost completely on her own seems like a better way to isolate her, but I would argue that the husband angle was even more terrifying by the end of Rosemary's Baby. And also, Rosemary being confined to the building was a huge part of building up the atmosphere of the film. Whereas the prequel allows Terry to go out whenever she wants, and she's a much more sort of free and independent person. And instead, the movie opts for more of a Suspiria-inspired inclusion of movie theater, of dance theater, scenes on Broadway as part of the plot, which I will admit leads to a fantastic climax sequence, but aside from that, is mostly just inferior to the first film. The story beats are largely the same. The movie doesn't look as good, with a more modern, cleaner look. Even though they make a great effort with the sets and costumes, I thought the production design was rather good. I also liked Julia Garner and thought she did a good job with the role, and I do want to say that this is not a bad film. In a vacuum, it would be a decent horror movie, but the thing is, movies don't exist in a vacuum. No art does, and you can't just ignore the existence of everything that precedes or inspires it. So if Rosemary's Baby didn't exist, this would be a finer film without anything to compare it to. But then, of course, you can ask yourself a question: without Rosemary's Baby, would this movie also not exist in the first place? But because Rosemary's Baby does exist, Apartment 7A is very obviously an inferior version of the very same film, and without the excellence in execution, there's really no reason to watch this one over the original.